I'd like to call the meeting to order tonight. This is the Historic District Commission and Committee. And it is a little bit after 7. And the first thing that we will do is have roll call. So as I call your names, just answer, please. Rob Duchesne,
Present.
Leslie Snow,
Present.
Chris Graska,
Here.
and Pat. Pat,
Here.
okay. We're missing a couple of people, but we shall commence anyway. We have a guest tonight, Mr. Kola, and he is in the center. I think he's waved for us. That's good. First order of business will be public comment. Any comment? Yes, please, Mr. Kola.
Hi, and thank you for having me here tonight. I appreciate it, Ms. Johnson. And I just want to come and introduce myself. I'm Commissioner Brandon Colo. And I know y'all have been working hard. Another committee's working at the farmers market. Y'all have a lot before you. I know you don't have a city commission representative also. So I just wanted to let you know we're here if you need anything. Carol's always a great resource to, the city manager's office is really a great way to get to us, but I try to watch all the city meetings, so I'm trying to pop in and say hi also. So like I said, I just want to stop by and thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Of course.
I would like to ask for approval of minutes for March 25th, 1921, or 2021, sorry, in the wrong era.
So moved.
Okay, second?
I second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. We have two pieces of business here that we need to talk about. The first one is unfinished business in reference to the farmers market. We have one part of the report for the market that has not been completed. However, we could go ahead and present the final report to the City Commission for approval and putting in not only the dimensions of the market itself, but its location in reference to the two streets, as well as the City Hall and the Police Department. That could be added and then submitted as the final report. And when and if the survey gets completed, then that could be given to the Historic District Commission, and that could be added to the report. So I would like your comments in reference to completing this report and getting it submitted.
And the surveys, Noah and Kraus is going to do the survey. So it is going to be done.
Yeah, okay, the survey will be done, but in the meantime, we don't have to sit and wait in case the time limit would expire in terms of submitting the report. So let me hear from you, please. Comment?
I'm in favor of that. I think that makes sense, and I think it helps us just, put it forward. So that would be my vote, is to submit it just the way you described.
Rob?
I agree with everything Leslie said.
Patrick?
Yeah, I agree.
Chris?
I agree. Let's get it moving.
Okay. Leslie, if you need my assistance with that, with the wording or anything else, please call me tomorrow or whenever you have time. And then
Okay.
complete it. And do I hear a vote that we will continue, go ahead and do it and submit it? I want
Yeah,
to vote.
sure. I'll make the motion to
Uh-huh.
proceed with the materials we have on the Royal Oak Farmers Market Historic District designation.
For the final report.
Final report, yes.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Okay, motion carries. The other thing I want to review tonight, last Sunday on the 18th, we went to visit the Bush House, which is up on Woodside. And Chris, Leslie, and I went. And I would like to have your comments on this in particular. How about starting, Chris, please?
It was a very nice house. The house looks like it from the inside that it's better than just I would say it's a pattern home or a house from a pattern book. And it's better than an average one because it, and Leslie speak up too, it had a lot more details. So it had very good trim. It had more expensive railing that went upstairs, leaded glass windows, far more than just an average house that we would see from that time frame. And whoever did it, it was all keeping with the house is a Tudor, so it was all keeping within that style. And so they did a pretty good job, whoever built the house. Um, very well done, the house, nice. They did an addition on the back that was very respectful. So it didn't take anything away from the house itself. And it was actually a nice addition, big family room off the back, and then upstairs a master bedroom with its own bathroom. They reused a lot of the existing doors upstairs. So they did a lot to preserve the house and keep the integrity of it. So very well done as far as the house goes. Nice setting. And the owners were very nice. I did give them an article. Ruth, I gave you the article too. In doing research, I found an article on the original owners of the house. And it was unusual to find where they gave their pictures. They gave a little bit of story about how they were moving to northern Michigan and building their retirement home up there. This was in 1957. It was in the Detroit News. And what happens is they move up there, and then unfortunately about 5 to 10 years later, they both pass away, the husband and the wife. And then what happens with the house is it goes to their son, and then their son lives there at about 2000. But anyways, I provided that article for them and took a lot of pictures and documented what I could. It's a nice house.
Chris, what year was it built?
1928.
Okay.
And so, oh wait, Leslie, do you want to say anything about the tour of the house?
Just that I agree, with everything that you've said. It was really lovely. The homeowners were very lovely. Another thing to point out, we were looking at the cedar shake on the side of the house, trying to figure out, was this original or is this not? But Chris pointed out that even on the addition, they tried to mimic the way that the bottom part of the shake would have, I don't know what you would, flare out a little bit to let the water run off the side. So, just to add to comments about the addition, and the brick matches extremely closely, even the style of the addition. So, like Chris said, I think that's always a concern when there's an addition. Is that really going to take away from, what else exists in the house? But you can't even see it from the street either. So, but even from the back, it matches very well.
Chris, do you feel that what we saw inside and out would be at least 50% of the original house?
Yes, I would. When you take into consideration the details that are still there, the doors, the laundry chute, which was nice. Even in the basement, there are original details that are still left. And yeah, and I would say it's probably on the existing house, Leslie, they didn't do too much. So I would say it's at least 70% on the original house.
Yeah, I would agree because, yeah, once you got in there and really looked at everything, I mean, even the bathroom on the main floor still had beautiful black and white tile. Kind of an interesting pattern that I've actually not seen before. So,
Ruth, what were your impressions?
My impression was very similar to theirs. I looked at some of the older things, particularly the floors, to see if the floors, which had been redone in the house, of course, were probably the original woodwork and so forth. The doorknobs were the glass ones that were typical of that era. And I saw many same things, that this was part of the original house. And even though few things got polished up and so forth, but that has to happen over the years. I felt too that there was more than 50% that could be counted there. The only question that I have is, how would we classify the style?
Tudor. It would definitely
Tudor.
be a Tudor.
Would it be a straight Tudor or Tudor
Well,
modification?
it falls into that, since it's 1928, it's going to fall into the revival, the Tudor revival. But
It could be a Tudor
definitely
revival. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if we proceed to do a write-up on it, we're going to have to come up with what its style would be classified as. Yeah. Okay.
It's clearly Tudor, because if you look at the and the details that you would pull apart would be the diamond-shaped windows, the original windows that are there.
Yeah.
The configuration of the front of the house where the entrance comes out a little bit, and it's just like a little entrance hall.
Yeah.
The dormer on the second floor, the gable that comes out towards the street. All these things indicative of a Tudor of that time frame, and of course the proportion. Everything matches perfect of what a Tudor would be at that time frame. Even the cedar shake, because of course Tudor could be the the yellow and the brown timbering that we see most common, but it could also be the cedar shake. And so all of that in excellent condition and really good examples of a Tudor. So.
Before we move on, I would like to ask both Rob and Pat that since neither of you were there, would you like us to make a second appointment so that you could go through and take a look at it? That if we decide to go ahead and do a write-up on this, that you would have a better handle on it. That's up to you fellas. Rob?
I'm not sure that's necessary. Chris said he took a lot of photos.
He did.
I'd certainly like to see the photos.
Okay.
I could drive by it. I'm not sure it's necessary. I'd be interested in what Patrick has to say. I mean, I rely on the judgment of you three, and provided some photos, I think I could make a judgment.
Okay. Pat, what is your feeling?
Yeah, I feel the same way. And Chris will probably, his photos will point out more things for me to really focus on too. He's got a better eye for a lot of those things than I do. So I think that'll definitely help me with my opinion of it. And I would be fine with photos. So, I mean, and we're looking, not that this is a rush, but I mean, for me personally, I'm probably a good 3 weeks out plus before I'll be able to get there.
Okay. How would you like to handle this then? Would you like to, because Melinda and
I'm online, Ruth. Hi, it's Melinda.
oh yes, Melinda. Yes.
Good evening, Melinda.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. If you would like to be included with, say, a meeting of them to look at the photographs that they have, can we set something up and get that done, possibly before the next meeting?
Are you talking about meeting to look at photos? I was just
Yes.
thinking Chris could forward them to us,
Okay. All right.
if that'd be agreeable with Chris.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. It was one of the questions I had to ask everybody is even for all the documentation that we're getting, the PowerPoints that I'm gathering information for you guys, it's a large document and we're getting into like probably 50 megabytes is what this thing is. And I just been storing it all together just to make it easier, to keep it all in one spot. But how do I get it to you? Where do we store it? I know we talked about, Leslie, we talked about putting things on this, on the city said, the city was going to set something up for us, but how do we do that? Is it a Dropbox? How do I get the stuff to you?
Chris, this is Carol Schwanger in the city manager's office. So if you can get the photos to me, flash drive, or are they too large, you think, to email?
I could try. I probably couldn't put
Okay.
them all together, but I could.
Yeah,
I'll see what
go
I can.
ahead and try, because that'd be the fastest. If not, if you put them on a flash drive, either you can put them in a Dropbox here at City Hall, or call me and I'll meet you at one of the doors, or I can stop by on my way to or from work and pick it up from your home, whatever's easier. And then I can load them onto our website and just send a link for you guys to get to them on the website. Does that sound convenient?
Yeah, that works for me.
Works for me.
Okay.
And then for the other documentation, how do we want to start using that? How it's a lot easier at work because, like, for example, we could set up a SharePoint site or some kind of share drive where we all put the documents. So let's just say, for example, we use our master that we're creating this document for, and then all of us could get in there and make tweaks or add stuff to it. It would be nice if we could do something like that, so we could start putting that information in there. I don't know if I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on how we could do that so we could start sharing the information. And I think we can find out that, then putting a report together, it'll be a lot easier for us because a lot of it may be done by one person or multiple of us, enhancing it and putting it together better.
I mean, I've used Google Docs before, so you can share that way, but I think you have limited. It's really best if you also have, a Gmail account or a Google account, whether you use the email or not, but you've got to set up a Google email to be able to use the Google suite of products. I've also used Dropbox before. I think it's limited in terms of storage space, but Dropbox might be a better option for everybody if everybody doesn't have Google or doesn't want to use Google. I think Dropbox is a little more compatible with Microsoft Word and PowerPoint that we've been using. Google tends to, when you open things in Google, it wants to use Google Slides or Google Docs. So then you kind of don't have as many formatting options. I'm not sure if anybody else has thoughts or experience with that.
All I can say is I have Gmail and Google, so that works for me, but I can learn.
And Tam has set up a Dropbox for us, but it's been a long time ago, so I don't know if it's still active. But she set something up for us so we could store documents. I don't know if that's still active. We'll have to ask her. But I think she set something up for us, but I don't remember where it is and how to use it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I think my initial thought would be to use Dropbox if we can, again, because of formatting issues with Google sometimes. And that might work. So, I mean, I completely agree. I'm glad you brought it up because it's hard when we have to email things back and forth to one another. It'd be nice if they were just in one place and that we could all view them or see them.
Correct. I agree.
That's what I was just trying to figure out, is whether or not for Google Docs, if you have to have a pass. Yeah, I know for a fact because I'm looking at another group I'm in to see people log into Google Docs. They don't have a Gmail account, but I'm not sure if their domain is hosted by Google. Maybe that's the difference. But and again, I don't know what the size limitations are in that either. I've never used it for anything that was really heavy with photos. So, but it's free.
And there might be other options out there. I mean, I'm a little bit. I've been out of the teaching game for a couple of years now, so I haven't had to use like a collaborative space. but I could look around and see if there's newer options now. You know, stuff's always changing. I'm a really bad millennial that I don't know like a ton of stuff about tech, but I'm sure I can Google and find out if there's other things besides Google Docs and Dropbox. Maybe something that's more user friendly too. I don't know.
You're way ahead of me, Leslie.
Way ahead of me too. That's what I was gonna say.
Maybe you can create a private Instagram account and dump all the photos to there and have a write up on each of them.
Yeah, no, I don't even have Instagram. So like I'm like a zero millennial over here. So
Well, might I suggest that, Leslie, you go ahead and see what might be the best thing.
sure.
And then within a week's time, I will communicate with each one of you as to what Leslie has come up with, and we'll see where we can go from that point forward.
Okay.
And in the meantime, I think we need to look at that first. And then the second thing we need to do is to let the Bushes know what and where we are in terms of this. That we have not started anything yet until we get our act together, so to speak. Does that mean with your approval? It would go that way?
I
Oh,
think
you
that's a
mean
good idea.
for everyone to look at the photos and then discuss again? Okay.
Uh-huh.
And we could certainly, I've done a lot of work on this. So how to get this information to all of you. So where I'm at right now is I first started off with the subdivision. How does it start? And so I wanted to go after the house. So I go after it's the Osborne family that actually starts the subdivision. So I was fortunate to find an ad in the newspaper that has the original ad listing the lots for sale when they come up in 1917. And it's in the Detroit News. It wasn't in the Tribune. And so I have that. So then I researched them, the husband and wife, to see who they were. They were one of the first houses on the street because it was their subdivision. And they were actually on Main Street, and their house is now gone. And it has turned into 5 houses. 5 brand new houses is actually where their house was. And it's right on the corner of Main and Woodsboro. So then after I determined that, then I wanted to see, okay, when did these people move on the street? And so it's that Maidment is their name. Sydney and his wife Gladys. And so then I did a little vignette of them, followed them from the time that they were married all the way to the time that they died, where they lived, using the directories as a guide so we can hunt them down pretty good. When the house is built around 1928, there are no addresses on the street yet. So the directory would say Woodside, South Side, or Woodside, 6 houses from Rochester. It doesn't list an address yet. So that's kind of difficult for us because then later on, the 2 boys, they have 2 boys, and they both live on the street too, and they live right next door to it. But what's happening is as the street progresses and they build more, they tear down some houses and they build new, the address has changed just a little bit, not too much, but it's you'll have one address that doesn't exist today, but it sounds like it's right next door. Like, for example, their address is 232, the next house is 230, you know what I mean? So it sounds like it would be next to it or close to it. And then if we go to the aerial photographs starting in 1940 and going up, Oakland County did pretty good. We can tell it was on 2 lots at one time, and then it was cut into 1. And so we can track this house that way. And so then that's what I did. Track their children. So we have tracking of that. Of course, the architectural style, that's the next part. What I did is I tracked the subdivision. I have photographs of every house on the street, and I need to confirm with Tamis, but I've classified every house on the street so we can progress with the street and move forward. Is this unusual? It is unusual. It is a one of a kind on this street. So far in Royal Oak, I haven't found any other houses like it. And so kind of that's where I'm at right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Rob, do you have anything you want to
Well, no, I'm just listening at this point. I guess, Chris, I think the one thing you didn't say, and maybe you're holding your fire, is this, do you think it would meet the standards for the state standards for designation. It doesn't seem like it's got any historic sort of implications. Maybe it's, you seem to be saying that it's architecturally unique for
I can't
Royal
say
Oak,
it's architecturally unique. It's architecturally unique for this subdivision.
for the subdivision.
Um, the people that built it and lived there until they died, they're very active in the newspaper. To have 100 and what was it? I forgot I was 174 hits of their family actually showing up in the Tribune is quite a bit, because most of us, if you even Googled us right now, we may have like 10, or whatever. So they were very active in the community. PTA, they were in Oak Ridge High School. I mean, a high school, school that's there at 13 Mile in Rochester. So they were very active in that. They threw a lot of parties at their house. So these things are all documented in the paper. Does it make it historic? I don't know yet. If we could prove that it was the only example of this house in Royal Oak, you could go after that angle. But the people that built it, I can't say did anything that would be anything unusual other than being a very active citizen in Royal Oak.
What was his profession?
I believe he was an engineer and he worked for Burroughs.
Okay.
Yes.
And one of the sons did too. So, you know what I mean? I can't say that I can find something that's like Don Darrow's house or something like that contributed to Royal Oak to make it historic yet. So really, maybe the only angle we can work on is if the house was truly a one of a kind. It's certainly a good example of a Tudor and a very complete example of a Tudor, but does that make it historic? I think that might be stretching it, but one of a kind, that would be different.
Okay. Sounds like a close call.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a close call, but again, should we proceed with as much as we have to see where we can put it all together, and perhaps at our next meeting, we will be able to confirm, yes, we will go ahead with it, or no, we will have to back away.
Well, we have enough information to create a report, and I think we owe it to all the citizens that come to us and ask to be historic, because yes, you may not qualify, or you may, but at least we can put together a nice report where we've documented your house. And it is by just doing that, believe it or not, we've saved you for history, and we've made it historically significant, because the report's going to end up in City Hall. It's going to end up at the Historical Society. And one of the things I think we should push on is, of course, online, one example, but the other one is to go and have a little book printed up for them. So it's just the report, and you put it in one of those little books. What is it? Leslie, you and I were thinking $40 to have it done.
Something like that.
And so you have it, you just take our report, we put all of our photographs in it. We're already doing the work, so it's not any more extra work for us other than loading it on the site to have this book printed up for them. I think out of respect for letting me snoop all over your house and go in all your closets, that, you know what I mean? For them taking that chance, we at least owe that to them. Doing a good report, at least.
Like that idea.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody would
I
agree
agree.
with that?
Rob agrees.
Yep.
Yeah, Pat? We didn't hear from Pat up there.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, okay, all right. I agree too,
So I guess the next step is to survey the documents,
yes.
see what we got, and then we'll sit down and compose the script.
Okay,
Yeah, and I've already started using our template to put the stuff together for us.
yes,
And so what I've done, Leslie, is I've taken one of your examples and I'm kind of putting it together in our same format. And what I've done is I put a lot of things in the appendix right now, just because I don't know how to put them together yet without all of your help. But at least we could pull it from the appendix. Like, for example, the subdivision, a photo of every home on the street, telling you what architectural style it was, when it was built. I was even able to find old photos. You just got to love Google right now. If the house was torn down and they took the picture like 5 years ago, I have the house that was torn down and the new one that replaced it. And so for a lot of it, we have before and after. So it's a really nice story on the subdivision and a good example for us to use maybe in the future too. But I've already started the report and already started putting it together for us. It's just now getting it to all of us, all of you, and then taking it from there.
Shall we then bring all of this to our next meeting and start putting the parts and pieces together and then make, as you said, a book and also a report? Is that pretty much agreed upon?
Yeah, works for me.
Yep.
Carol, a question for you. If I bring it to you on a flash drive and you put it on the city's site, does that mean all of us could then go in and access this Word document and we could make tweaks on that site?
I'm going to explore some options with our information technologies department. Maybe there's a way we can do like an intranet, site, or see who I can give access to if we put something on our website. But I'll take some time to explore that. But if I put all the pictures on there, I feel like I can link it to a document like I do with city commission reports.
Okay.
Whereas, you could get access through a link on a document, at the very least. There's definitely got to be a way. So it's just a matter of finding it.
How big are the, or each photo? Is there a way you can condense it and email it, or is it just going to take away the quality too much?
I don't know. Each photograph's about 2 megabytes and there are about 50 taken. And so do we need every single one of them? Absolutely not. But what do we want? You know what I mean? It's like us at work. When we go out on a field visit, we store it all on a SharePoint site and we just all dump it there because sending it back and forth just kills our email. And so then you grab what you want. And then when we create reports, we just take it from there and take what we need. But then historically, it stays in this file forever.
Yeah, well, get it to me and I'll build a PowerPoint, out of it and create a link at the very least. And then I'm going to explore with our IT director about how do we do this on a city website or Office 365 or what, some mechanism for sharing this. You aren't the only group that needs this, so maybe this is addressed by starting with the historic group and that it expands to other groups. It certainly is something. I don't know if you've noticed that Commissioner Polo is taking an active part in the group in the meeting tonight. And I know he's going to be very supportive of us getting you the support you need from the city. So that's what we're here for. So I'll start asking those questions tomorrow and look for a way to do it.
Awesome. I know. Thanks, Carol, for looking into that. A couple years ago, when I was working with Judy Davids to update our web page on the city website, I know we had talked about having a collaborative space, but at that time, the word from the IT was that wasn't really possible because of they couldn't allow us to have access to it. So, like you said, maybe something has changed now, or maybe there's something, a different way of doing it. So we appreciate you looking into that.
Yeah, I do know, that we do have, because of the different departments, for instance, the police department and stuff, we are audited by, for security by Michigan State Police and the FBI. And so we do have to be careful, but there seems to me, there's got to be a way to do something on a smaller scale that's very isolated that, we should be able to control the security measures on it to allow you to.
Kara, I wonder if it's something as simple as a SharePoint site that's hosted by the city, because that's what we do for where I work.
Yeah.
I work for Bank of America. So it's a large site that a number of us can go into this SharePoint site, but it's hosted, of course, by the bank. But only approved members can actually have access to it to get into
Right.
it and pull things out. And so that's the security that they use. Now with their Dropbox and their SharePoint sites, we can't take anything out of course, because of it being the bank, you can't take anything out and you have to work everything within their system. But I'm sure we could probably work something, the same way with the city, that as long as it's a Microsoft Office product, we should be able to access it and use it on, you know what I mean, on the shared drive. And maybe
Hey,
even
Chris.
Microsoft Teams might be the answer that we use.
That
Chris, I
sounds
just-
very reasonable.
Just I guess in the meantime, before you could send up to 50 megs through Gmail too, just FYI. So if you did it in two different, just to kind of expedite it, because I know that could take some time before the city gets that up and running and approved.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to bring up at this time?
Well, I would like to ask the group one thing. I'm looking down the road a little bit, and as I will probably end up writing the thing, you usually want to start with a theme to pull it all together. Chris, what do you think about the idea of like researching the Tudor style as sort of an intro to it, and then using this as an illustration of the Tudor style?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that in the sense that.
Mm-hmm. That's a good
um,
idea, Rob.
I don't know how representative it is.
it might be a better. It's not the best example of Tudor that you have here in Royal Oak, so that's where I want to be careful.
Yeah.
On, and I hate to use the words best, but you know what I mean. You might go at it. A good example is what's unusual, not unusual, but what's typical of this subdivision is it's the same story no matter where you are in Royal Oak. It sounds like it was an old farm at one time. It has a wood lot. So it describes these as being very large lots with mature oak trees. It sounds absolutely beautiful, like you're going to this wonderful park-like setting, which is most of all of Royal Oak at the time. It's not built up yet. And then what happens is between 1917 through today, all these homes are slowly being built, and you have a wonderful mixture of homes being built from every time period, and you have almost an example of every type of home in this subdivision. It's not very big. It's only like 64 homes, I think. So that might be a better angle, that this is a typical subdivision in Royal Oak that evolves over time, where you have it where it's built up in the 20s. And then, of course, today where we're building the new homes on those spots. It might be a good example of that, because it's what's happening everywhere.
Sort of architectural diversity.
It could be.
And there are a lot of new homes on that street.
Yes.
Quite a few.
Yes, there are.
Yeah.
Okay, just something to think about.
Okay, very good.
Tudor or not Tudor? That's the question.
So we needed some Shakespeare.
Well, you got the title.
It's not a very appropriate for Tudor, but
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
That's all right. That's what we're all here for. Can we conclude with that for this evening and then pursue what we have got?
So moved.
Yes, so moved. Okay. I had one small thing to tell you before we talk about adjournment, and that has to do with the Herman Bakery.
Oh,
The Historic District Commission was approached to remove historic designation from the bakery, and I told them at that meeting that it was not our responsibility to do that kind of thing. And I just recently had a letter from them, which I have turned over to Carol, turn over to the City Commission, since, the Historic District Commission doesn't, we address changes and things like that, but we don't address taking away the historic designation from a property. So we will get in contact with them, and I don't know where that's going to go from here. But I just thought I'd let you know, because it was one of the places we did some time ago. And we did it when Mr. Herman was still alive. So I just wanted you to be aware that that's being requested at this point.
Can you clarify, was that letter sent to the HDC or to you as a part of the HDSC?
It was sent to me as part of the HDC.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we would be the ones to evaluate removing designation, or is that the
Well,
city?
It's the city, because when the property's designated, it's done by creating an ordinance. So
Right.
it have to be the city commission that repeals the ordinance if they so
Yeah.
desire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll actually probably be turning it over to the city attorney for consideration as to, because they would have to script the repealing ordinance, and then
Sure.
it'd be up to the city commission whether they want to approve that or not.
In having met with them, I know what the purpose is. They would sell it, they would do some changes to it, both externally and internally. And they feel that the only way to do that is to take away the designation. But other than that, there's one more thing to discuss before we adjourn, and that is, has everyone on this committee, and I can't speak for Pamela, so, had your vaccine for COVID?
I have.
Yes,
I've had both shots.
Patrick,
Getting my second on Friday.
second on Friday. Okay, then you got 2 weeks after that. All right. The rest of
I
you-
believe Tamis was.
I think so too.
I'll check
Oh,
with her.
too. I think she said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll phone and ask her.
That just
And the
leaves
reason that
us
I'm
off.
bringing that up is that Carol and I had talked earlier that we could possibly have an actual meeting in one of the rooms up here for our next meeting in May, if all of us are in a position to be able to come, having had the injection or whatever.
We have a conference room which can accommodate 14, still using COVID restrictions. You still have to wear a mask because it's mandatory. And you could social distance in there, and 7, 8. It would be a rare occasion if there were that 6 members of the public at the meeting. So we should be able to keep the 14. And it can be a hybrid meeting. If there's anybody who's uncomfortable about meeting in person, we could do the Zoom webinar and have that playing on the computers in the meeting room.
Just think we might get some of Leslie's goodies if we did.
Yeah.
Just think about their stomach.
No problem. I can make it happen.
It's a consideration. Everybody has to make that decision themselves. But again, it can be hybrid so that we could have a couple in person, and if you're not comfortable or you maybe you have to be out of town for something, you can still be in the meeting via Zoom.
Sure. You can let me know within the next week or two.
Okay.
I need to know tonight.
Do we know what date that meeting might be?
Yes, the 20th of May.
Okay. Thank you.
Please,
What was the date?
28th?
20th.
20th, 20.
Oh,
May 20th. Okay.
Okay,
and what day of the week is that?
Thursday,
Okay, we're back to Thursday.
third Thursday.
I don't know why I have it on my phone, but I will be, if it's in person, you can count me in.
Yeah, same. I'm comfortable doing that.
So am I.
Chris? Chris?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, all right. Then, if we have nothing else to discuss tonight, I will take a motion for adjournment.
There's a motion on the floor.
Oh, no, I had just said something before. That's all right. Okay, go ahead. We are adjourned.